Hi students, I hope all are fine. So we knew that we are in a unit which speaks about comedy, isn't it? Which speaks about humor. So in the previous class we saw about the dog Ram, how he he became a laughing stock, though he did something just protecting the house, but it was a it was a kind of comedy, isn't it? So we saw that. So today what we are going to do is we are going to learn a prose, okay, boating with friends. It is written by Jerome Kejrow. So as the title suggests, we have three friends going for a boating, okay, going for spending their time in boating. Okay, so it is written by Jerome Kejrow. So let us see who he was. Jerome Kejrow was an English writer and humorist. He is best remembered for his work Three Men in a Boat. He also wrote many plays, and his works have been widely translated. Okay, so his one of the main works of Jerome K. Jerome is Three Men in a Boat. Okay, Three Men in a Boat. I think we are going to learn that. We are going to learn about that. We are going to learn an edited version of it. Okay, so before we enter the chapter, I just want to ask you something. That is this. Okay, if you were to go on an adventure trip with a group of like-minded people, what would you choose to do and why? Okay, you are planning to go for an adventurous trip. Okay, adventurous trip like going to a mountain, trekking or boating or go for a safari. So all those things are there. So what would you choose? And you have your friends. Okay, friends are most of your friends are like-minded. Like-minded means you think alike, isn't it? So you look at your friends, you choose friends like those who think alike, isn't it? All those people, all your friends will have a kind of thinking pattern, like same thinking pattern. So that's why, so once you choose, so where would you, first of all, what would you choose to do, or where would you choose to go? And once you choose the place, how would you go? How, in the sense, by what? Okay, is it by bus or by motorcycle or by foot? Okay, so all these will make your journey an adventurous one. For example, if you are going for a climbing the mountain, okay, or trekking in the mountain, so you can go by vehicle, go by jeep. Okay, if that is not that steep, and so you can go by jeep, but you can also go by what? You can also go by foot. Okay, so many choose foot, many choose going by foot, because that will make you enjoy your adventurous trip. That would make your trip more adventurous, isn't it? So now let us read the story about three friends who were in a boat. Okay, they made a kind of boat trip in on the river Thames. Okay, so we shall see that. They were three in a boat: Jerome, George, and Harry. They planned to spend a few days boating on the Thames. The clock on the cabin wall showed 6 in the morning. For the past hour, Jerome and George had been sitting huddled up in blankets, sharing their experiences, some true and some not so true. When Jerome finished his narration, George set to work to wake up Harry with the point of an umbrella. Wake up, lazy bones. The third prod did it, but he turned over on the other side and said he would be down in a minute. He was still dreaming. They soon let him know where he was, however, with the aid of the boat hook, and he sat up suddenly. Okay, what happened? See, these three men, okay, they plan to go for a go for a kind of ride in a boat. Okay, so they plan to spend their time in the river Thames. Then they were there, and it was 6 o'clock. Okay, it was 6 o'clock, and they were in a boat, all the three of them. So George and Jerome, okay, we have three friends: Jerome, George, and Harry. Okay, George and Jerome, they were speaking about their experiences. Okay, so they were speaking about their experiences, as it is said, some true and some not so true. They were just sharing their experiences, just like we know. So sometimes when we are together, we might boast of certain things. Some may be true, but others may not be true. So in the same way, they were also speaking about their experiences, some true and some not so true. So when Jerome finished his narration, what did George do? George tried to wake Harry up because Harry was sleeping, and all the three were we were covering themselves with blankets because it was very cold. So third poke of the umbrella, George used a, an umbrella in order to wake up Harry. But Harry was very tired, he was sleeping, and on the third poke, he got up. He got up, but he said, I will be down in a minute. But they made him realize that he was in the boat. Okay, so he sat up quickly. George pulled up the canvas, and the three of them poked their heads out to look down at the water. They shivered at the sight. The idea agreed upon the night before had been that they would get up early in the morning, fling off the blankets, leap into the river with a joyous shout, and enjoy a long, delicious swim. Now that morning had arrived, however, the notion seemed less tempting. The water looked dark and chilly, the wind felt cold. Well, who is going in first? Said Harry at last. Okay, so all the three got up. Harry also got up, and they just looked at the water. So the water was very chill. Okay, the water was very chill. They were so astonished to see the water because the water was very chill and they were all shivering. So on the previous night, what they made a kind of arrangement that, okay, next morning we would get up early and we would dive into the river, and with a long shout, okay, with a joyous shout, and we would have a long swim. But when they got up in the morning, they were feeling very cold. Okay, and it was very cold, and the water was very chill. Okay, the water was very chill, and they could not, and it was not that tempting to swim. So Harry asked the others, okay, who is the one who is going first? Who is going to dive into the water first? There was no rush for precedence. George settled the matter for himself. He sat down and started pulling on his socks. Harry said it Harry said it would be messy to get into the boat again. So he started sorting his clothes and promptly dressed for the day. That left Jerome to decide what he was going to do. Okay, they made an arrangement, and since when they got up in the morning, it was very chill. So, because of that, they did not feel like jumping into the water. So, Harry asked the others, who is going first? Who is going to dive first? So, George said, okay, he pulled on his socks, and he said it would be messy if we are wet, and so we won't be able to come into the boat again, and it would be very messy. Okay, it won't be that nice, we being wet come into the boat. So he wore his socks and so on. Then there was Harry. Harry said, okay, it is uh, he also said it would be very messy, and he dressed up. He wore his dress for the day. Means to say that he was not going to swim. And there was Jerome, and the decision to swim or not was left to Jerome. Okay, so George said he pulled on his socks and he sat down. And Harry said, okay, it would be messy if you are wet. It would be messy to come inside the boat. So there was there was Jerome, and he had to choose what to do, whether to swim or not to swim. Okay, so this is what this much would be enough for today, and uh, we have vocabulary, that is precedence means in order of importance or first. Okay, so here what we see here is there was no rush for precedence, means to say when Harry asked who was going to die first, there was no rush for precedence. Nobody wanted to rush, nobody wanted to take the first step. Okay, so that is a vocabulary used here, precedence. Okay, so we have a worksheet also. There are 5 questions in it. Okay, so how many were there in the boat? Who were there in the boat? Then what were Jerome and George doing? Then what did they agree to do in the morning? And could they do as they agreed? Why? Okay, these are the questions. I hope today's class is clear to you. So thank you and bye.